video is on toxicology, and the main goal that we're going to be working towards today is to figure out the basics of toxicology in order to figure out how we can decide what is safe and what is not safe. So let's start with the basic, just kind of definition of toxicology. So toxicology is basically the study of the negative effects of a substance on living organisms. So that could be, on people, it could be on things that live in water, it could be on land animals, it could be on plants, it could be on fungus, and the general environment. So that is sort of the focus of toxicology. So when we're trying to determine if something is toxic or not, we need to look at two things. First of all, how much of a substance gets into the body. And then second of all, how does that substance actually get into the body? So there are generally three ways that a substance can get into the body. It could be inhaled through your nose. It could be ingested. You would eat it. And it could be dermal, which means it comes in through your skin. Something you need to keep in mind when you're thinking about how toxic something is what actually is a dose. So what we mean by a dose is it's just the amount of substance that enters the body at one time. So one time, not over many periods of time, over a long time. When we think about toxicity, one of the common measurements that we use is something called the LD50. And that measurement talks about a toxic dose. So LD stands for lethal dose. And the 50 means what is the dose or the amount that's required to kill 50% of a test population, which is usually lab rats. And I know a lot of you right now are thinking, oh no, they're testing these things on lab rats and animals are dying. That's been the common way to do this for a long time. And the people that do toxicologists who determine how toxic things are working on using other methods besides exposing lots of animals to these different substances that we're trying to figure out toxicity on. So, like we said, there are three ways to have a substance enter your body. Likewise, there are three types of LD50s. So we have LD50s specific for when you're inhaling a substance, oral LD50s when you're ingesting or eating a substance, and dermal LD50s when it's coming in through contact with your skin. So I'm just going to give you the lethal dose 50s of some common substances that we encounter. So water. So water is a substance. So every substance has an LD50. The LD50 of water orally is 90,000 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. So to make that, kind of put that into more perspective, a 110-pound person is about 50 kilograms. So, your average middle school kid is probably somewhere in that general range. So in a very short amount of time, the LD50 for a 110-pound person is going to be 4.5 liters of water. Okay, so 4.5 liters of water. So think of like two big 2-liter pop bottles and like a quarter of a bottle in a really quick period of time. Sugar, the oral LD50, is 29,700 milligrams per kilogram. So basically, that is equivalent to having about 7.5 cups of sugar in a very short period of time, which is a lot. Salt, 3,000 milligrams per kilogram of body weight, is the equivalent of having half a cup of salt in a very short period of time. And finally, caffeine. The oral LD50 is 192 milligrams per kilogram of body weight, which is the equivalent of having about 300 cans of Coke in a really short period of time.